Welcome to this Video Sans Frontier video. My name is Jay Wakefield and this is an IBM ThinkPad R51. And you know, it's been a laptop that you know, I've wanted to have for quite a while. And now that I've got one, I would just like to say how bloody slow this damn thing is. Seriously, it is really, really slow, and you know, even for a Pentium M. Now, the reason for this is it's got a very slow Pentium M, a 1.5 gigahertz. Yeah. That's not even enough to power a donkey. So, what I've decided to do is actually upgrade the CPU in this computer. You know, this is possible because the CPU is what IBM calls a field replaceable unit. So, I guess it's time to go to a field. No, not that kind of a field. No, no. Anyway, before we do upgrade the CPU, I thought I would actually do something to kind of quantify, you know, how much of a difference the upgrade will make. Now, I normally don't do these on my channel, but today I thought we'd actually run a Passmark bench test. You know, just so you can kind of see in numbers, you know, how much of a difference this upgrade will actually make. So I'll switch off the light here and then we'll get... Actually, no, I guess I don't need to. So, I guess I'll just get started. Okay, you're about to run all tests. This may take several minutes. Are you sure you want to continue? So basically what this is going to do is it's actually going to test all of the components in this machine, you know, and give it an overall score. Now, there's no industry standard for this kind of a test, at least I don't believe so, but it'll certainly be good enough for comparing a before and after on the CPU upgrade. Now, I do very much like this machine. It's very well built. This version has the Intel graphics, so it won't cook itself, or at least one would hope it won't. And, you know, it's really quite easy to take apart and put back together. It's a ThinkPad of the old sense, you know, very... When I say of the old sense, I mean, okay, you know, IBM branded ThinkPads have had their down days. For example, the T20 series of machines, not really the most reliable, and the display hardware that was in it, as well as the particular TFT that they used in those, was pretty much disgusting. What this is doing now, actually, is... It's actually doing some graphics tests, as you can see. Trying to populate a page full of images, sprites. Now it's going to try and do scrolling tests. It's pretty neat. Oh yeah, and zooming. Yeah, you can tell it's trying to redraw it there. But I mean, I'm not upgrading the CPU to get higher numbers. I'm literally upgrading the CPU in this computer to, you know, basically because it's just really quite slow doing everyday things. And, you know, I know that it can do better than that. Now, unlike the Dell Inspiron 6000, which is kind of from the same period as this machine, this only takes DDR1 memory. So I've actually had to go and get a DDR1 Pentium M. And the faster ones aren't necessarily as common as I would have hoped. So, I mean, I ordered mine from China before Christmas, and it came, I think it was last week it came. But you know, unfortunately, I've not really been able to do anything with it because, as I discussed in my previous video, you know, I've not really been feeling the best, you know, and the thyroid meds are still working into my system. So, yeah, I'm feeling quite tired at the moment, you know, so I could literally go to sleep now and just, like... Okay, so we have a score, 309.5, which, you know, I guess is, yeah, it's a score. You know, I kind of forgot what, I kind of forgot what scores meant what on these machines. But what I can tell you is that when running an older version of Performance Test 8, I was actually on, I actually ran it on my Toshiba something or other. This is not going well, is it? My Toshiba T2130CT, and I managed to actually pull a score of 5.0. I think it was 5.0 as well. Anyway, and I managed to beat VDR on that as well, because he'd run it on a machine and he'd got 7 or something. Now, and the Toshiba T2130CT, just for those of you who don't know, is a 486 DX475 with, I believe that one had the hard drive in it. Actually no, I put a 1 gig hard drive in it. I literally lifted out my Windows 3.1 disk and put in a fresh 1 gigabyte hard disk or something of that style to install Windows 95 on it and you know, run benchmark performance test, Passmark Performance Test. But yeah, there we go, 309.5. So, yep, let's let's just exit. We'll see where this computer, you know, kind of needed stuff. So basically it's comparing things to it's not really fair actually, because it, you know, Intel Core 2 Duo, AMD Phenom 2, Core i7 920, Ivy Bridge Core i7 3720 GM, AMD FX 8 Core i7 5820. That's a blooming Devil's Canyon chip. You need to cut it out, seriously. Of course this machine's going to look absolutely craptacular next to all that lot. Jings, could it not have like had some other things, like some Windows XP machines that were similar? You know, what about a Dell Latitude D505, 510 or 500 or, you know, something like that. Something like an HP Compact from the time period, or a Toshiba Tecra, or even a Satellite Pro from the time, or, you know, stuff like that. Or something with a Turion in it. You know, how does that compare to an Intel Pentium M, a Turion 64? Anyway, enough of complaining about that. I think it's time to get to see how slow this thing is actually in day-to-day working. Right, okay. See, I really don't know what improvements we will get, you know, when we do this after upgrading the CPU, but, you know, we'll just see, you know. It's quite a neat idea to do a before and after. So basically what I need to do now is shut this machine down, disconnect it from pretty much everything, and remove the battery as well. What is this? What is this? Oh, right. Network cable is unplugged. Yeah, now we're actually getting to see in the real world, you know, this machine and how it's doing. And I believe outside it's actually starting to look a wee bit brighter. Obviously on the camera it's going to do that anyway because, yep, but you can probably see there, it's starting to brighten up. This morning was exceedingly grey, so, come on. So you can kind of see how slow this is being. So, get the toolkit out. And once again, I am going to follow the instructions. I have the service manual on here, my tablet, so we'll use that. There you have it. So what I'm going to do is I'll just kind of put the camera down there, and we can use the light on it as well. So, disconnect it from the power. Disconnect the battery pack as well. And the first thing that's got to be removed is the hard disk drive. What we can do though, we can just, well, all we need to do is take the caddy out. With the hard disk in it, you know, we don't need to go removing the hard disk from the caddy or anything like that. And I think we need to do that because there'll be some sort of a screw underneath it that will lift the keyboard bezel, which is basically, you know, the palm rest. And there's different types of screws in here, so now that I've undone that big screw, I need to have a smaller Phillips head. Nope, that's not doing it. Maybe I might use a bigger one again. Seems to hopefully provide the torque needed. There we go. You know what they say, torque is cheap. Right, now this is quite an interesting design feature of this laptop. The screen's bezel seems to have like a lip all the way around it that it kind of closes around the machine, especially like this sticky out bit here. So I have to slightly lift the screen out to be able to get the hard disk caddy. That's a wee bit odd. Now this has got a hard drive. Yep, this is a Seagate 5400.2 hard drive that I do believe was lifted out of an iBook G4 that I had briefly. Right, excellent. That's a hard disk gone. Just kind of put it off to one side. Now, the next thing that needs removed is the keyboard. So, I've got screws to remove. 2 here, 1 there, and 1 there. Yeah. So, and you may be able to see, if I show you, that the screws that I need to remove with the keyboard on it are usually marked as such. You probably might not be able to see that well there, but you don't need. Yeah, right. So I'm just going to identify these. So this one needs to go. That one needs to go. That one needs to go, and that one. So I'll just get right on it. Right, I believe that's all the screws I need for the keyboard, at least. So I think with this, what I have to do is, I can't remember if I push it back or push it forward. I think it's actually backwards that it goes. If not, it'll be basically a case of me questioning, is there a screw, you know, it's kind of got lodged. Nope, there we go. I just used the screwdriver to pry it. There we go. So, next step, just to unplug the keyboard. And what I like about this one is it has an actual connector on it, not just a blooming ribbon cable that kind of goes into a zero insertion force slot. It's, yeah. You've got the mouse pad. The keyboard is something else I wouldn't mind replacing, actually, because I mean this is a Spanish one and it's also quite worn. Yeah, I'd like the UK layout, or even the US layout would do. Right, as you can see, the CPU... Well, no, that's something else, but the cooler for the CPU is there, the CPU is under that, but it's partially obscured by the palm rest, or as IBM calls it, the keyboard bezel. So I need to, what I need to do is, I need to actually remove that. And to do that, I need to go to page 81 of the service manual. So removing the keyboard bezel. Basically, it's just remove as many screws as you can. But let's turn this around and do it. Yeah. There we go. Right, good. That's those screws done. Right. 1, 2, 3. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to remove at the bottom. Right. So I will sort that out. Right, I'll put these here. I think, no, I'll put those there. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. And if you have any trouble getting screws out, you know, just kind of put your hand over the where the screw is, and turn the laptop the other way up, and you know, if it's been unscrewed enough, then it will literally fall out of your hand. It will literally fall out into your hand. Right, and there doesn't seem to be another screw here. So, one of the screws is a wee bit missing. So, hopefully, that should do it. Or maybe not, because now there's a whole load of other screws to remove. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this. You know, I could have just removed all them while I was removing the others. You can. Yeah, dafty. Oh look, the sun's coming out. That's certainly going to help with the light. Alright, so these two screws, well, these just won't budge. You can, like, lightly tap the machine, but don't overdo it because you don't want to break it. I'll put it this way up now, so I can actually keep track of what I'm trying to do. Right, I removed that screw before actually, so that's useful. Then it's just a case of, I'll try and keep these screws divided up, so I'm not putting screws back in the wrong places. You know, putting it back together should just be the reverse of what I've just done, or what I'm doing now. There we go. Actually, you know what, I'll lay these screws flat. So then, yeah. There we go. And here. So there's 6 of those, and hopefully those 2 might come out as I start to try to free the keyboards around. Palm rests, keyboard bezel, whatever IBM wants to call it. Right, and then literally, yep. Oh, and this rubber foot is coming off. Rubber feet. Dafty person that's like, do you hear any rubber feet for a ThinkPad R51? So what I need to do now is unplug the mouse, the trackpad, and as you can see, this has basically came clean away. Magic. Right, now the next part of this operation, what we need to do is remove the cooler. Now the cooler is torqued down onto the CPU, again with some Phillips screws. Oops. But with this, you do have to be quite careful, actually, because what you don't want to do is, well, you don't want to torque it too much, otherwise it'll wreck the motherboard, or as IBM likes to call it, the planar board. I don't know if they were still calling it the planar board in the R51 days. I know that, I do believe that Lenovo actually made this machine for IBM. But also, you need to actually pay attention to what order you actually torque these screws down when you refit the CPU, because it's got a way of doing it so that the it is actually evenly, you know, it's actually evenly torqued down across the whole CPU, and you know, there's no spots where there's, you know, where there's a gap between the CPU and the heatsink. It's I mean, that is something to be mindful of. And it's not actually a bad idea if you're unsure what you're trying to do to actually try and, well, it's not a bad idea here to refer to the manual. It's always a good idea if you can. Right, now let's see, fan assembly. So, yep. So, yeah, this seems to be doing quite a way, right? And the fan obviously is plugged into the motherboard. Oops, I shouldn't have done that, should I? But Mom, I thought these screws were captive. Right. Oh well. So what I can do is I'll just unplug. It's always a good idea to just kind of drop it into your hand, I think. Right. So now I have actually created a slight issue. Because this is not an area where you can have any screws missing, really. You do need all 3 screws. So, basically what I'll have to do is, yep, and there's the 2 screws, well, somewhere anyway. Right, I think these are they. Yep. There we go. I think that's good. Right, now we're back on track. Look at the dust. Right. So, what we need to do now is, you know what, before I do anything, I will clean the heatsink first. Now, you can get CPU thermal compound removal, liquid compound thing, cleaner. But I found that these wet wipes can work just as well. There you go. And a nice clean ThinkPad. Basically, what you do here is you just literally wipe it off, and I think I might have added way too much coolant there, so yeah, just kind of daub that. And I know I'm not doing this, but you know, again, you know, if you're unsure of certain, you know, if you're unsure of how, you know, steady of hand you are, you know, you might want to wear rubber gloves while dealing with the thermal compound, because it can just get absolutely everywhere. Alright, that's shiny and clean. Look at that. Look at that shine. Probably not the wisest thing to do, drying it off a t-shirt, but especially not a good t-shirt like this one. Probably best to have some tissue paper to hand. Right, okay, that is fine. Now, what we're going to do now is lift the old CPU out of the system. Now, to do that, we have to unlock the bracket, and the way to do that is by using a flat-headed screwdriver. And what you do is you put your screwdriver into the screw, and it's basically like a key. Turn it around 90 degrees anti-clockwise, and you hear a click, and then that's the CPU out. So this is the old decrepit 1.5 gigahertz Pentium M. I'll put it with the others. Actually, I don't know. I do have, at one time I did have a fair few Pentium M 1.5s. Right? And get machines, upgrade them. Or I've even, like, you know, put, like, you know, Pentium M machines that have died, I've kept the CPUs. So if I've ever had a 1.5, I've usually been able to replace it with something like a 1.6 or 1.7. But I think it's like the 1.8s that, you know, after kind of above 1.7 when, you know, these Pentium M CPUs really start to get exciting, because while some of the slower ones were really slow, some of the faster ones were really fast. I mean, it sounds obvious, but I mean, they were a lot faster than you would expect them to be. I do believe they had quite a bit of cache in them. Whoops. There we go. Right, so that is the CPU dried off and what have you. Now, it's time for the main event, so to speak. What I'm going to do now is get the new CPU, which came from China. I hope it's a real deal, by the way. And I'm going to put it in. Now this is a... you need to pay attention to this, and I need to get my magnifier to be able to actually tell you exactly what this is. Alright, this is an SL7 EM by the looks of things. It's 2000 megahertz with 2 megs of cache. It does have a 3-digit model number. I think it's 755 if I remember rightly. Now, with these CPUs, there's like 2 types of Pentium M. You've got the ones which have the 400 megahertz front side bus, and the ones that have the 533 megahertz front side bus. Now, if you have a system with DDR1 memory, you want the 400 megahertz models. If you have a DDR2 system, you know, something like the Dell Latitude D510, for example, or the Inspiron 6000, then you want the 533 version. What you will find, if you put a 533 version into one of these systems, the 400 megahertz systems, the CPU speed will be downclocked. And that is exactly what I found when installing the wrong chip in this. So I was quite disappointed and had to put the 1.5 gigahertz chip back. So, that was that. Now, when installing a CPU, you'll always find that there will be a pin missing. So it's this side, that's kind of the key. And what you'll want to do is line the CPU up with the key and don't force it in. The CPU should literally just kind of drop into place if you've done it correctly. Well, that's the theory anyway. There we go. That is in now. And then it's basically just the reverse. You turn this 90 degrees clockwise, and as you can see, that CPU, well, it's going nowhere. Now we need some thermal compound. So literally what I want to do here is just, I've got some Arctic Silver 5 here. Again, this is where I have a wee bit of trouble because my fine motor skills, they're not the best. So now I'll just literally hold it very close, and literally all you want here is a pea-sized drip. You know, just something like, for example, yeah. That's not enough. Oh yeah, that should be enough, I think. Sometimes it can get, you know, stuck to the end of the applicator. Hopefully it'll spread. Now, what I want to do now is I want to plug the cooling fan back in. If you don't, then you'll find that you have a very hot processor, which is not what you want. It's just going to be one of those blooming thankless char type things. That should work. That should just go straight in. Again, I do find these quite. I do find these to be quite troublesome, because again, it's tiny little parts, and you know you've got to be really careful that you don't end up breaking something. There we go. That's good. That's in there. Right. And basically, what I want to do is just kind of just place this back where it belongs, and just try and get this over the holes. You don't want to be moving this around too much, otherwise, you know, you might find you need to reapply the thermal pasta. Okay, let's see what's going on. So we can do that, and that. Just put the CPU in the thing. There we go. Now, I do believe that hang on a minute. Yep. No. I do believe I want to use another screw head. I want to use a Phillips. There we go. So again, what I'm going to do is just kind of torque these down a wee bit at a time, and you know, just hopefully get them. Come on. So there we go, and then just try and get them torqued down as evenly as possible. Oopsie, there we go. Nice, now the CPU is installed. Now, one thing that I could do, which I'm going to do now, is before I put the machine completely back together, what I will do is I'll connect up the keyboard and some power, and we'll see if it actually goes. So, yep, let's see if I can do that now. We'll just plug the keyboard into its connector. Now, where is it? I can't get it in. There we go. Now, right, that's good. So what I want to do here is just get the power cable plug it in. The power on switch is actually on the keyboard itself, which is quite useful on this machine. Right, smoke test. Well, it certainly seems to post. Well, kind of anyway. There we go. So, there we go. Pentium M processor, 2.00 gigahertz. So there we go. Install memory, there's a gigabyte. So that's good. We've tested that the machine actually goes. So hopefully now, I mean, it won't boot to anything, but hopefully now it will at least post, or at least try to. Unless it's taking so long to post because it's actually looking and being unable to find a storage device. There we go. So yeah, there we go. That machine seems to work absolutely brilliantly. So the next thing that I need to do now is I need to actually put this computer back together. Now I won't do that on camera, but I will come back once I put the machine back together and we're ready to start Windows and see if we can run another benchmark. Okay, so the keyboard bezel is mostly reattached. Just wanted to put something on video. Remember to connect the trackpad. I mean, it's easy to it's easy to forget to reconnect things when you're, dealing with about 500,000 screws. Yeah. But there we go. That's this one reconnected. Now I think what I will do is I might actually just kind of ride this out now with the keyboard and hard disk reattachment. So what I need to do now is latch down the screws in the battery compartment again. There we go. 1, 2. If I can get it in. That's not even a hole. Try now. James, right, and the third one. Oh, James. Right. So I've completely lost that screw. I mean, seriously, this is just one of the many joys of being visually impaired, Ken. Right. Oh well. Moving on. Let's reattach the keyboard. Hopefully that should be easier to reattach than it was to detach. So, first of all, I need to connect it. Just connect it to the motherboard. There we go. And then literally the reverse of before. slide the back of the keyboard in first, and then just kind of put the front in. There we go. And then once again what we want to do is actually just connect, well, just kind of screw the keyboard back in now. Oops. This is, yep, there we go. This one, there's 4 screws here. There we go. There we go. And then the upper 2 screws. There we go. And this one. Now, so it is now time to reattach the hard drive. Yep. And if with the computer turned upside down, you want the hard disk label, I believe, facing you. There's a screw hole. Right. If I can do it actually, if it'll go. There we go. Just kind of insert it like that, and then we get the screw and we screw that in. Excellent. And then I can put the screwdriver kit away, and now the sky is, you know, got cloud break going on and some blue sky. And you know what, actually, it's actually the last week of January this week. This time next week it will be February. Seriously, where has January gone? I don't know. So, final part of rebuilding this ThinkPad is to put the battery back in. And I want to connect it up to a power supply. Now, while I'm at it actually, what I will do is I will take this CPU, the 1.5 gig, and I will just put it quite nicely in this case. So there we have it. CPU is nice and safe and will go in my CPU box. Basically just kind of a lunchbox type thing with CPUs and bits of memory in it. Right. So now it's time to power it up. And it's actually a lot quicker now, as you just saw. There we go. You can actually still see the screen. That's amazing. I can see the screen better on camera than I can in real life. There we go. There we go. Now I'll put my password in and we'll get onto the desktop. So this will be a bit slow to start up with, because what it's going to do, no doubt, is it's actually going to tell us new hardware found. Yeah, this is taking it really quite a while. Oh look, we've got a... I wonder if the hard drive's a wee bit of a limiting factor in this. It's a Seagate 5400.2. And we're getting somewhere though now. Right. Let's launch Performance Test. Right, and what I'm going to do as well, actually, just kind of go to my computer. It took a while to start up, but some of the performance aspects do feel a wee bit snappier now. There we go. It's saying 1.99 gigahertz, although you can't really see it because that thing's in the way. Yep, Intel Pentium M processor, 2 gigahertz, 1.99 gigahertz, 0.99 gigabytes of RAM. That's absolutely fine. Just go to Device Manager and we'll see what's happening in there. I know actually that when I upgraded the CPU in my Dell Dimension 4600, a video that can no longer be seen now because it has Windows Embedded POS Ready 2009 in it, that actually did turn around and go, finding new hardware, CPU. Oh, found a CPU, guys. What will I do with it? Let's install some drivers. But that could be because, you know, I was upgrading to a CPU that actually had more features as well as a better speed, like hyper-threading. There we go. Intel Pentium M processor, 2 gigahertz. Good. So now Windows has recognised the CPU. And what I think we will do now is... Oh, it's crashing again. Nice one. And I certainly think more RAM will actually help this system greatly as well, you know, so there is always that. Right, there we go. So now, let's see how this runs. And here it is, the new benchmark. And yeah, okay, now the screen. Oh well, no, I can still see it. 377.6. So that is a massive difference compared to what we had before. Seriously, massive. So hopefully, you know, hopefully as the system kind of, I don't know what, I mean, there's obviously going to be some things to uninstall as well, but this system hopefully now should perform a lot better, and it'll perform even more better when I put more memory in it. Anyway, so that has been the upgrade. What has it done now? That has been the upgrade of the IBM ThinkPad R51, and hopefully I can enjoy this machine a wee bit more now. So once again, I'm going to shut it down and see if it kind of throws a sushi. Seems to be, well, I mean, yeah, it's, the program's not responding, but so I mean, day to day, it's not sped this Windows install a penny, but I'll try. Oh, it seems to be doing it, and there you have it. It's done it. It's doing it there, shutting down Windows. There you go. So, that concludes this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. Also, please feel free to follow Videos on Frontier on Facebook and follow me on, well, like them on Facebook, excuse me, and follow me on Twitter. The URLs for all three will be coming up. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video, and please all join me for the next one. Cheery bye.